Try this again. Can you hear me okay? Oh, there goes the phone. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I said Lindsay. I meant Kinzey. Let me get that
That's
correct.
okay. I'll forgive you.
All right. One-time forgiveness. I love it. Cool. How you
Can-
doing today?
So good, how are you?
So good. Life is awesome,
Good.
man. God is good. Life is good. Family, friends, all of it.
I
Business.
like your little studio. I need to step my game up over here. Jeez.
It is what it is. Yeah, I own two co-working spaces here in Tampa, so I converted one of the offices into a podcast studio, and I do two podcasts out of here. So,
Cool. That's so awesome.
right? It works. Got to get
Well,
serious, you know?
yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Same here. All right, let's get into it. I'm just gonna get some of these windows set up here.
Can you hear me okay? Are these okay for microphones?
Yeah, your sound is fine, which is
Okay, cool.
good. Video is good. Lighting is good. You look natural. That's important. Seriously, you'd be surprised some of my guests come on and I'm like, dude, you gotta fix your lighting, man. Because I gotta make you look your best, right?
Right. Luckily, I'm a model, so I understand lighting. That's half my job is figure out where the light is and look at it.
Exactly. Like if you got on, like if we just got on and you had bad lighting, I would probably just disconnect. I'd be
Just
like,
stop.
she should know better. This is unacceptable. Good stuff.
Oh, that's
All right,
funny.
cool. All right, excellent. So today we're going to speak about self-harm and self-love or versus self-harm.
Yeah.
I am super really like interested in talking about this with you because you're kind of an expert in
Yeah.
both areas, right? And yeah, there's so much I can learn, and I know my listeners. Um, there's some of them that are experiencing this right now, and they don't know how to get out of it. And you can be that light, right? And that's what God calls us to do. So you and I are standing for God transforming the life of one of my listeners somewhere in the world. Okay, and if we do
I love
that,
that.
our life was worth living. Do you get that?
Absolutely.
Like that's the impact. You know, when I look at stats and stuff, it's like I see, you know, listeners in over 30 countries and everything. And I have to remember when I see that number, that's a human life, right? It's not just a stat on a wall. So that's what you and I are doing here. I got your bio, just a little prep here. Good. And this is how you can give the most value, Kinzey, to our listeners is get real, get transparent,
Cool.
be vulnerable, which I know you have no problem doing now. After I saw
Right.
that video, I was like, okay, this girl's ready. I don't know where she was a month ago, but now she's ready to find her power, right? Out of where maybe before there was a sense of shame or powerlessness, right? And we all go through that. So I'm excited about that. And I think, you know, if we can all just share our brokenness and like not in a braggadocious way, but in a way that glorifies God and we're not ashamed of it anymore. And we're like, I had to go through this because this is what God's calling me to in my life. And that's now my source of power. I think we'll change the world, you know, just doing things like that. And if we get more stories like yours out there. Got it?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That's
Awesome. Any questions or comments for me before we get into this?
no, I'm excited. It's gonna be great.
I like your energy. It's good. Good energy. Always important. Quick housekeeping.
Okay.
Kinzey, you grant me, Joseph Warren, unlimited worldwide distribution rights to this recording, correct?
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Here we go.
Here we go.
What's nice is we don't edit anything on the show.
Okay.
It's raw, it's real, and whatever God wants to speak to the listeners, we just let it happen, okay?
Cool.
Um, so, you're a woman of faith, yes?
Yes.
Cool. Do you mind if we say a quick prayer?
No.
Awesome, thanks. Heavenly Father, we just surrender our lives to you, Kinzey and I, and we just ask that you send us your Holy Spirit, speak your words through our lips. May it be you that people hear and not us. Lord, just open up their hearts and draw them closer to you and transform the life of one listener, Lord. That's all we ask. And we ask this in your son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Alrighty then. Look at that.
Yeah.
Now everything's easy and we don't have to be responsible for what we say.
Whew. I feel so much better now.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I need that freedom. All right, cool. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Broken Catholic, the #1 Catholic voice in America. Why? Because I talk about the important things that nobody else is talking about and should be. Like the things that matter to you. Like why the world isn't working right now. Plus, I tackle unspeakable topics that you may secretly struggle with, but won't admit. Today's topic may be one of them. I'm really pumped about this. I'm your host, your coach, your friend, Joseph Warren. I'm also a broken Catholic and former atheist who was almost murdered twice, but God spared my life because that's what God does for his children. And he did it because he had a higher purpose for my life. Hopefully, I'm starting to live that now. The show is created for you, the person who wants to be accepted, who wants to be loved, and wants to be reminded that there's a higher purpose for your life. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for being here. And if you are one of the thousands of people in 31 plus countries and growing who listen to the show every single week, I just want to say thank you. This doesn't happen without you. Let's keep spreading God's glory across this planet, spreading his light through the darkness. Remember, wherever there's one little candle of light, darkness cannot exist. And we are meant to be that. So today, our featured guest is Kinzey Ray, and this girl's powerful, and we have a really cool story, like how I met her and stuff. We're in like this private Facebook group together, like, anyway, I'm not going into that because that's not what the show's about. So let me just share this real quick. You guys are going to love her. Kinzey is a professional model and actress. She's based out of Los Angeles, California, USA. And she's striving to leave her mark on the world, not by being just a model, but by being a role model. I love that. I love that little spin you did there, Kinzey. Through her story of struggling with self-love, self-harm, she hopes to inspire people to love themselves just the way they are. Love is the most important and powerful force in the universe, she believes. Once you learn how to love yourself, the possibilities are endless of what God can do in your life. She's out to prove that anything is possible regardless of who you are and where you come from. You can find her at kinzeyray.com. That's kinzeyray.com. Let me spell it for you because she's so fancy. It's Kinzey Ray, RAY.com. That's kinzeyray.com. And she's going to speak to us a little bit about her backstory of modeling and what that was like. And then some of the darkness that was in her life. And she went all the way into the darkness. And now she's in the light and she's using that pain that she used to have. And she's turning into her power. Kinzey Ray, welcome to the show, girl. Go ahead and fill in some of the gaps in that intro, would you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. What an honor. I love speaking about this because it's my passion. This is what I enjoy doing. So thank you again for having me on here. It looks like I need to update my bio a little bit because I guess maybe my heart is still living in California. I am back in Salt Lake City, Utah, where I grew up. I know. When you read that, I was like, oh, that's outdated. Okay. But yes, I was a professional working model in California for a couple years, which was a huge dream of mine. So to check that one off the list just was phenomenal. Now I'm back in Salt Lake City, Utah with my beautiful fiance and where my family lives and where I grew up. So hopefully maybe one day I'll make it back to California, but we'll see.
Got it. Cool. So like I said earlier, we don't edit the show. So now Los Angeles, California is on the map. Awesome.
Woo!
So I always start the intro kind of this way, start us out. Share with us something personal about you, not the topic. We're going to get into that. Something personal about you that very few people in your business life know.
Ooh, in my business life, I guess something personal. Let's see. I've gone through a lot of, I guess I like being on here because my faith was very instilled through losing my sister. My sister passed away when I was 19 years old. She was 26 years old due to cancer. And that really, I was already in the modeling industry when that happened, but that really just confirmed and like lit a fire underneath me. Like, no one should die at 26. Like, I just have to believe like there was a reason for that. Like, and I, oddly enough, I've learned so much through losing her, and it really just showed me like tomorrow's not guaranteed. You could wake up and you could get cancer. And this year has actually been a very transformational year for me because I turned 26 this year. And that just kind of set me back and like, whoa, what if this year I found out I had 6 months to live? Like, how would I feel about that? Am I doing enough to get my story out there? Because this story that we're going to talk about today, it's been inside of me for years. And maybe it was me turning 26 that really clicked the button to move forward with this. But just in the last 5 months, I've really been pursuing getting my message out there. And it's been interesting. You came into my life and all these opportunities and things have come my way to share my story. So I don't know if that's my sister or what's going on here, but it's been very interesting that I turned 26 and this path has really opened up for me to come out and just keep sharing my story to hopefully impact one person's life.
Wow, love it. So BC Nation, today's topic is self-harm versus self-love. And Kinzey is an expert in both sides of that. And we'll get into what I mean by that. But before we go there, Kinzey, I'm going very broad with you here, okay? Why do
Okay.
you think that the world isn't working right now?
Truly, I believe that so many of our issues come from, because I really dived into this topic, that everything that's working or isn't working comes from self-love. And that's why that's like such my big message and big thing. Like, all success, all failures, all wars, all good and bad and evil and picking on people and being mean, and it comes from a place of not loving yourself. If you are mean to somebody, it's because there's something inside of you that you're not loving, so you want to go pick on it on someone else, because it's way easier to pick on other people than it is to be like, oh wait, that's you, that's not working. It's way easier to pick it out in other people, but when you have to look in the mirror, it's way harder. And that's such a small scale, being mean to somebody. When you take that concept on a large scale, there's wars and corruption and you name all the awfulness in the world. But I truly believe all problems and all success stem from that core concept.
You know, that's such a great way that you framed that. And I would have to agree with you on that, right? What do you think's the cause of all the lack of self-love in each of us, right? Because as C.S. Lewis, I believe, was quoted when he was asked the question, why do you think the world's not working? He said, I am. That was his answer. I'm the reason the world's not working.
Right.
I'm 7 billion or 8 billion, right? So, you know, why do you think, where's that source of lack of self-love coming from? What's missing in each one of us? What do you think?
I truly believe it's not taught. No, there is no course in school. There is no, it's not taught unless unless you teach yourself, or you find the concept from the out there that, like someone from me or other people who teach the concept of self-love. It's not mass taught. And that's truly why I believe I'm here, and why I'm so vocal about what I want to share, is I want this to be an education course. I want this in our schools. I want us to learn how to deal with our emotions. It's so interesting that we're not taught how to deal with human emotion, anger, sadness, depression. We're not taught how to deal with that in a positive way. Yet it's such a fundamental part of the human experience, is to feel. So why are we never taught how to deal with it, or how to love ourselves? Why isn't when we go to school, someone's like, hey, it's okay to love yourself. It's okay to be different than Sally. It's okay to, there's only one you, so own it. And there is a little bit like kind of here and there, but it's not really like beaten into our brains like it should be, like algebra is. I mean, I feel algebra is great and all, but I really feel like we could beat some better core concepts into our brain.
You know, I'm hearing you right now, because it's like self-love is probably a lot more applicable in our life than algebra.
Right.
Right. So I get that. I get that. So why do we have the wrong emphasis on the wrong things? So let's go here. Okay. We're going to split today's conversation into two parts. The first part is going to be self-harm. and then
Okay.
we'll go back into self-love, right? So we just touched on it a little bit. I want you to take us into your dark days. I want us to take us back, take my audience back. Each one of us are listening from somewhere on planet Earth, right? All different places. And some of us are struggling with the very darkness that you were going through back then, Kinzey. So bring us back to the beginning of that, the darkness, and paint us a vivid picture. Go ugly. I want to see your ugly come out. Okay.
Okay.
And share with us that story.
Okay. I should have brought tissues because forgive me, my emotions are stuck to my tear duct. So anyway,
Listen, when
if
your
you want to get
eyes,
real and raw, let's go.
let's go. Let your eyes leak, girl. Come on, bring it.
Okay. Um, so I struggled with self-harm when I was 14 years old. And honestly, when I talk about this, it's so hard to really remember it because it truly feels like another lifetime ago to fathom what I went through and what I did to myself. If I didn't have the scars to look at every day, I could totally convince myself it was just a really bad dream.
Mm,
Um, but when I was 14, honestly, I was actually talking to my dad about this the other day of kind of the timeline of this. And I remember, I don't know what age it was. It was probably right before I was 14, maybe a couple years before. My dad has struggled with depression his whole life. And I remember he sat me down and he said, I think you have depression. And I was, I don't know, 12 or something. I was like, okay, cool. Like I didn't know what that meant, and I wasn't registering what that meant to me. And then, I'm a ginger, and I was the awkward little kid in school. I've never really fit in, and kids are really mean to me in school. And then I was, when you're going through puberty and you're going through junior high, kids are mean. Their kids are so mean. And then you have all these hormones going through your body that you don't know what to do with. And then you add on any kind of depression emotion that you're struggling with. I had no idea what was going on in my brain. All I remember was just feeling so alone, so unbelievably alone. There was some family drama going on, to where I didn't feel like I could talk to my parents just because I didn't want to be that burden. Like, oh my gosh, you guys are already dealing with so much. You don't need to listen to me complain about how kids don't like me and how I don't have any friends and I'm not really fitting in at school. And so I just felt very lost. I don't know. This is why it's so hard to fathom what I went through, because to get to a place where you want to physically hurt yourself, it's a very dark and scary place. To think that that's the option that's going to heal your pain, you have to think of how painful that feels on the inside, to think that causing yourself physical harm is going to relieve that pain on the inside. And I think a lot of it comes down to control, that when you are, kids at school aren't being nice to you, you don't feel like you fit in, maybe there's family drama, maybe there's a really awful traumatic situation that's happened to you, you don't have any control over that. So I believe that people who do go to self-harm, it's a control thing, and that's really what it was for me. I felt like my life was spiraling out of control. I hurt so badly on the inside, and I didn't have any control over it, and I didn't know how to deal with it. So when I took a razor to my leg, that was my way of, I can control this. I can control this moment right now. I'm in control. And it's such a temporary fix, because I truly believe that the guilt and the just beating yourself up over what did I just do, it's this vicious cycle that you get into, that okay, it's a temporary release to hurt yourself, then that release is gone, and now you're like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? You suck, you're horrible, oh my gosh, why would you do that? And then you go back to it. Okay, now how am I going to fix this pain? And it's this vicious cycle you can't get out of. And it truly stemmed from me not loving myself. I believed the kids at school that I wasn't pretty, or I wasn't popular, or I didn't fit in. And then I was like, oh, why do you suck? You don't have enough friends. You don't fit in. Oh, you should, and you just beat yourself up. And it's this spiral in your head that you're so not aware of what's the truth. I didn't think anybody loved me. I didn't think anybody cared. I didn't think I belonged. And now I look back and I'm like, you were so loved. Your family loved you so much. I had a phenomenal childhood. My parents could have not been better. But in my head, I just worked up this story that nobody loved me and I was so alone and nobody cared. And now that, you know, you step back from the situation so many years later, what the heck, girl? You had it good. Like you were so loved. And that's what's so heartbreaking to me about self-harm, and is that you convince yourself that you're not good enough, you're not beautiful, and it's this horrible story that just replays inside your head. And you know, I had this boy that I was in love with, and when I was 14, and he, you know, it's emotional abuse of him telling me, oh, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that. And the worst that it got was one night I went and it was around the holidays, and I went and sat in the bathtub, and most of the scars on my legs are covered from top to bottom. Most of the scars on my legs, there's hundreds. It happened in one night. And it was one night in the bathtub, I took a razor to my leg, and because a lot of people ask me kind of what caused you to stop self-harming. And I don't know if you guys remember I think it was a TV show called Scared Straight, where they would, their kids were acting out and they would go like arrest them or something as pretend to show them, hey, this is the consequence of your action. And that's kind of what happened to me. Is one night you cut your legs open and you can't take that back. I realized very quickly how permanent my decision was. And I think a lot of kids, they do it very slowly. It's a very gradual thing. One cut here, one cut there. And they don't realize that those add up to permanent scars. Me, it added up in one night and I couldn't take that back. And like I said, that guilt of being okay with what I had done was 10 times harder than ever getting to that place of having to hurt myself. And like I said, you have to be in such a dark, twisted frame of mind, and not like twisted, it's not a bad thing if you're there, but your concept of reality is not accurate. You think you're alone and no one loves you, and none of those things are true, but you've convinced yourself of that so hard, and it's such a dark place that you're in. And then it was so much harder to be okay with what I had done. I beat myself up, and I felt like my self-love for myself went down 100 times more than it was to get to that point. So that road to recovery was so much harder.
So Kinzey, I'm gonna jump in right here and just give Broken Catholic Nation some context here, okay? BC Nation, we have Kinzey Ray, with me here on this podcast, and just for some context, she was top 10 female model of the year. She was top 10 female young adult actress of the year. She was Maxim's Hometown Hotties top 100. And she was Miss International Bikini Model. And here's a girl that has taken a razor blade to her legs hundreds and hundreds of times and now has hundreds of scars down her legs to prove it. And I've seen some of the pictures on her Facebook profile of her in swimsuits with all the scars down her legs. And this is something she can never take back. And Kinzey, here's what I want to ask you. When you looked at yourself in the mirror back then, when you were in the darkness, what did you see?
I didn't see beauty, and that breaks my heart now, because I see pictures of myself at that age. Like, oh my gosh, you are beautiful. Like I look at the younger version of myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. And when I looked at myself in the mirror back then, oh, I looked horrible to myself. I was not beautiful. I was awkward. I was just like, I don't even know how I got that image of my head that I was nowhere near close to beautiful. And now I go see photos of myself when I was 15. I'm like, girl, what did you even see in the mirror? Like it, and looking at those photos from when I was 15, my heart like physically hurts knowing I couldn't see that beauty, because my reality was so twisted with this story I was telling myself, that I was ugly, and I was ugly, and that's why I didn't have friends, and that's why I wasn't popular, and that's why no one liked me, was because of who I was. And it's interesting that the story that we tell ourselves in our head becomes our reality, and that's what we believe, because we tell ourselves over and over and over again. Pretty soon you'll believe it.
So, Kinzey, let me go a little deeper here with you, okay? I'd like you to imagine for a minute, back then when you looked in the mirror and you didn't see beauty, you didn't see reality, you saw ugliness. What do you think God saw when he looked at his precious daughter and saw her taking a razor blade to herself?
Oh,
Go there with me.
sure, his heart broke, just like my parents did. That was the hardest thing, was to, I think the best visual I can think of is my parents, because we're all children of God. So my mom's heart shattered when she found out, knowing that she couldn't do anything to stop it. She wasn't there, that guilt, and I felt so horrible for my mom, because I'm sure that's what God thought, that I can't do anything to stop it. But now I know, me personally, and I'm sure he knew back then, you have to go through this pain so I can be here right now and be that light for somebody. Because I remember, it's so interesting, I remember after I had cut my legs open and just trying to cope with that I prayed every day. First, I prayed for two things every day. First, I prayed that I'd wake up and my legs would be perfect again. I prayed for that every day. I said, I will do anything. Please, can I wake up and just make it go away? Make it go away, please. And then the second thing I prayed for was, can you please show me somebody who has gone through this, and they're older and wiser now, and things are okay, that they're happy, that life is just okay, and they're not in this dark place anymore, and they're not just miserable and just hating their life, that they're just happy. Can you show me somebody like that? And there's nobody. I wanted like a role model, like a Tyra Banks or somebody that was in the media, or that could just say, hey, I'm okay. I went through some stuff and it's okay. And I prayed for those two things every day. And I just had this epiphany maybe a couple weeks ago, that the girl I prayed for every day, that's who I am today.
It's you. And God was allowing it. BC Nation, so many times we get caught up on, if God exists, then why is there so much evil in the world? And it's such a common question, right? The reason why there's so much evil in the world is the same reason why there's so much darkness. Darkness is not actually a thing. Darkness is the absence of light. Evil is the absence of love, or the absence of God. And when we push God out of our life in rebellion to him, what we're left with is evil. So we are choosing evil for the world, one person at a time. We're choosing evil for our life. We are choosing that. The same way that Kinzey was doing self-harm physically to her legs, we do self-harm to ourselves in our own life by rebelling against our Creator, who loves us so much. And we push him away. And what are we left with? Pain and darkness and fear. And God wants so, so, so much more for us. So, Kinzey, I'm thank you. First off, I just want to acknowledge you for going there. That was not easy. I am known as a host who doesn't let you off the hook easy. I take it there, right? I take it deep. Why? Because that's the areas of our hearts that we don't share, we don't show, and that's the exact areas that other people need to see a light. And as you said, you were the light the whole time, and you didn't even know it. And God was allowing it. So I also want to add this, right? God allows things to happen, and God wills things to happen, right? So there's God's will. He wills creation into being, right? The earth, the sun, the moon. And then his permissive will. He permits things to happen. And I submit that he permitted his beautiful daughter, at age 13, 14, to do self-harm to herself for the greater good, because he knew who'd be sitting here right now with me on Broken Catholic Podcast, being a light to the world for another little girl who's listening right now to this show somewhere on the planet, and she hates herself and she wants to hurt herself, or she's already done it. And when she looks in the mirror, she doesn't see what everybody sees. She doesn't see beauty. She doesn't see what God sees, his precious daughter. She sees ugliness, and she hates it and despises it, and she wants to hurt it and do harm to it. And here you are, Kinzey, being that light. So what else do you want? What is that one thing you want to say to that little girl or little boy that is considering harming themselves, or is already done it and maybe is regretting it? What do you want to say right now to the world?
First of all, I want to say two things. And this is the first thing has always been my fear, which I know fear is irrational, but it's always been my fear of really talking about this, is because I have had a wildly modeling or successful modeling career after self-harm. And so the last thing I ever want is for someone to think it's cool and it's a cool thing to do just because I got through it and, had a successful career and I'm okay now. Last thing I ever want is for someone to think that it's a cool thing to do. It's not, and I don't condone it. I don't support it. It's not a cool thing to do. So that's always my disclaimer. But to the person who's already done it, it's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. There's nothing wrong with you. It's okay, and you're gonna be okay. A scar does not determine who you are. It does not. A scar just shows you are stronger than whatever tried to hurt you. And we all have scars. And I know sometimes that physical scar is a lot harder to be okay with because you have to look at it every day. I personally think my scars are beautiful now, but everybody has scars. We all have some sort of past or mistake or thing that we're ashamed of, because that's part of your experience. That's what you have to go through. You have to have that darkness before you can ever appreciate the light. And so don't resent yourself just because you have a scar, because we all have them. I truly think you are far stronger for having a physical scar, because that's way harder to have to look at it every day. A lot of us who have scars on our heart, we can kind of tuck them away, push them back. Oh, it's okay. And you don't have to look at it every day. So I feel like it takes far more courage to have to bear your mistakes and your past on your skin for the world to see. So it's okay. And if I can tell you one thing, life gets so much better. It's okay. It's not always going to be like this. So I hope if you feel hopeless and you don't know if life is going to get any better, or you don't know what to do next, take it one day at a time. Look at yourself every day in the mirror and find one thing that you love, even if it's just the color of your eyes or your smile or the way your hair looks today. Just find one thing that you love and tell yourself that every day, because it's that one step of acknowledging what you love about yourself that will just cause an avalanche of more love for yourself that I hope I can at least show you. You can go through some of the darkest times in your life and come out on top, and life gets better.
So, Lindsay, thank you for taking us to the darkness. Thank you for speaking straight to my listener. And now I want to ask you specifically, because I'm guessing they're asking this. They want to know, Joseph, ask her this question. How did you come out of the darkness? Like, how did you start moving and transitioning from the self-harm? And I understand you had that one night where you just harmed yourself hundreds and hundreds of times with a razor blade, and it shocked you, scared the heck out of you, and something clicked in you to the consequences of what you were doing. However, it's a completely different thing to have transformed into self-love. And now where you look at yourself and you go, I love who I am. I even love my scars. Like, so take us back to that middle part now. How did you make that transition one day at a time?
Like I said previously, that was the hardest part. Far harder than ever getting to the point of hurting myself. Being okay with it. Oh my goodness, that took years. And that's why I'm here, because I don't want you to resent yourself for years. That is the last thing I want. I look back and I'm like, girl, you literally hated yourself for 5 years after that. I did
Mm,
not wear shorts for 5 years. I didn't go to the pool for 5 years. I wore jeans through 100-degree summer for 5 years. Like, I would not show my scars to the world. Nobody knew. It was like total shame, regret every day. That prayer I said every day happened for 5 years. And it it was a slow process, and it took me a long time to learn the power of positivity. And if I can give you one tip that you can start doing right now that will transform your life, it's what I just told you. Find one thing you love about yourself. For me, for a long time, it was, I used to love doing like really weird, crazy makeup. And I look back now and it was a horrible makeup job, but I love that. I loved expressing myself through my makeup and my weird outfits. And I thought I was so cool for my unique style. That's what I loved about myself. So that's what I focused on. So every day I was like, gosh, your makeup looks so good. You're so cool. And I always loved my really long natural eyelashes. I got a lot of compliments on that. Oh, I love your eyelashes. So I would just find one thing about myself, even if I didn't think my whole package was beautiful. One thing, okay, love your eyelashes. And then the next day I was like, okay, I love your eyelashes and your smile. And then it was, so it's just, and it's so weird when you have a negative thought that comes into your mind, if you can stop it and say, whoa, that was really negative, and go and replace it with 3 positive ones. Like, oh, Kinzey, you suck today. No, the sun is shining today. Your mom loves you today. Your outfit's really cute today. You can drown out any negativity with positive thoughts. And it's hard. Trust me, it takes practice. I'm not saying this is easy and it will happen overnight. Because you'll notice if you let the negative thought come in and you think another negative thought and another negative, it's a downward spiral, and you'll just start going down the negative path. But you can stop that negative thought and replace it with a positive one. And I don't even remember how I learned that, but I caught on that anytime I thought a negative thought and let it perpetuate into more negativity, it just got into this dark rabbit hole, to where I learned I could replace it with a positive one, and the reverse would happen. The more positive you think, the more positive thoughts you get, and positive attracts positive. And that is truly what got me out of my depression. I also became very aware of what I was exposing myself to. Anytime I was sad, I was always listening to the emo, screamo, very depressing, like sad, negative music. I thrived on that. And I was like, oh yeah, I am really sad. Oh yeah, this music is speaking to my soul. I was like, wait, this music is just like making me more sad and amplifying my sad feelings. So I switched what I listen to. I won't even listen to that music now. All I listen to is happy, upbeat music. Anytime I'm in a bad mood, I put on a song that makes me want to dance. Instantly, my mood will change. So be aware of what you're exposing yourself to. Are you watching the movies that just make you cry all the time? Are you listening to the music that just makes you feel so sad? The songs in those movies aren't bad, but if that's all you're listening to feed your negative emotions inside, that's not healthy, and it's just making the way you're feeling worse. So I just started becoming aware of what's going into my mind and how am I perceiving it. And so a lot of it was I had to get in control of what I was thinking. And even if I didn't feel happy that day, I told myself over, you're great. Today's great. The day is great. The sky is blue. The sun is shining. The flowers are light. And it's a habit. And now that's all I think about. And I hear people talk negatively. They're like, oh, no, my life sucks. But you're breathing. You're alive today. And so I talk it to other people because I know what those negative statements and thoughts will do. I know the place it'll get me to, and I refuse to ever go back there. I refuse.
That's
So it's a
awesome.
daily active practice. So think of it as a practice. Don't focus on perfection, focus on progress. It's a daily practice.
I really appreciate that you went there. garbage in, garbage out, right? And, so many young people are like just listening to what's cool, what's trendy,
Right.
in music, or watching what's cool, what's trendy, and not realizing the harm that they're doing to themselves, right? And even as, just all generations, right? All ages. It's like we constantly wonder why our life's not working, why we're so depressed. Literally listen to what Kinzey's saying right now. Like, what are you consuming? The same way if you eat crappy food, you're going to feel like crap, right? If you're putting crappy food into your ears, you're going to feel like crap. If you're putting crappy food into your eyes, you're going to feel like crap. If you're putting crappy thoughts into your heart and your mind, you're going to feel depressed and sad. And you're feeding the wolf, right? That, as they say,
It's
you're
true.
feeding the wolf. Choose which wolf you want to feed. Do you want to feed the angry, nasty wolf that wants to harm yourself? Or do you want to feed that cute, blue-eyed, husky type looking wolf that wants the best for you in your life, right? Which wolf are you going to feed? So I'd like to read something here that's on your Facebook post that I was able to just kind of pull here. And this is something that Kinzey wrote, and I really like it. It says, "My story isn't over. This is only the beginning. Don't be so quick to judge a book by its cover. Most people are fighting a battle you know nothing about. Please be kind to everyone you meet. You never know what will be the last straw for someone and send them over the edge. Your kind words or compliment could be that glimmer of hope that keeps someone here for one more day. Choose kindness, always. Everyone deserves to finish writing their story. For years, I wanted a giant tattoo on both my legs to hide my scars. I was ashamed for people to know my past. Today, I wear my scars loud and proud. If you have scars, if you have wounds, I hope you know that you have nothing to be ashamed of. You are not alone." Kinzey, what shows up for you there? What do you want to add to that?
That post, I believe that was for the National Semicolon Day, the Semicolon Project, which that blew me away. I went and searched the hashtag that day. How many people opened up that day?
Hmm.
Because I remember being in the place of hiding my scars, not wanting anybody to know, very embarrassed. I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the only person who had ever gone through this. And it's been very interesting and eye-opening to me that the more I talk about this, every time I do a new post or I do a podcast and really open up about this, I have at least 5 new people reach out to me telling me this is something I've struggled with. I'm currently self-harming. And it blows me away at how prominent this issue is, and it's not talked about. And that's why I loved your intro to your podcast. You're talking about the stuff people aren't talking about. This is not talked about. And the reason why people aren't aware that it's such a big issue is because the people who have scars, they're hiding. They are hiding. They don't want the world to know. I did it for 5 years. I know exactly who these people are and what they're doing. They're hiding their pain with a smile. Nobody knew I was cutting myself because I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing great. Life's good. And then you never know what the last straw is going to be, because that's what it was for me. Someone at school was mean to me, and it's not that them calling me ugly or Satan's spawn because I was a redhead. Not that that comment ruined my life, but it's the last straw on the camel's back that it breaks them. It's one thing. You never know when your mean comment on social media, you'll never know when that was just the last thing and that person couldn't take it any longer.
Hmm.
And it causes them to take their life or self-harm, or you also know on the flip side, you hear those stories, and I love these stories when you hear that someone was just nice to someone that day, paid him a compliment, helped him out, invited him to come hang out. Later, they found out that person had plans to go kill themselves that day.
Hmm.
And because of their kindness, they chose not to. I've heard stories like that all the time, where it's like, you never know when just being a decent human and saying, hey, you look great today. You never know when someone's like, oh my gosh, are you sure? Really? So I always make an effort everywhere I go, every person I run into, I find a genuine compliment. I don't just say it. Hey, love your bag. That's so cute. Hey, your makeup looks great today. Love those shoes. You're just so happy. I always compliment every person I run into, because I remember the first time someone looked at me and I could tell they were being so genuine. The first time somebody called me beautiful. Oh my gosh, my world lit up. I was like, she just said I was beautiful? No one's ever, like, other than my mom, of course, my mom always, moms are supposed to say that. It's in the mom contract. But outside of, like, my parents, some random stranger stopped me like, oh my gosh, you are so beautiful. Me? Oh, there goes my headphone. I was like, oh, me? Are you sure? Like, so I just know what that meant to me when I didn't believe it. For someone else to point it out, it rocked my world. So I'm very pro being kind, because it costs nothing to be kind, and it can just totally change somebody's day. And don't be mean. You don't have to be mean either.
Yeah, this is powerful what you're saying. BC Nation, listen to what Kinzey is saying right now. Your tongue has the power to give life to someone or to destroy someone. Death, right? You have that power the same way people have that power over you. We're all one, right? Humanity is one. And it's like there's self-harm amongst that we could do individually to ourselves, and there's self-harm that we do to others, but indirectly it's coming back to us because they're our brothers and sisters, right? We're all one human family. So when we hurt our siblings, we're actually hurting the family unit, which then in turn is hurting ourselves again, right? And it's like we need to get that we're all connected. And when you look at someone and you judge them and you condemn them and you hold their face in the mud, you're really doing it to yourself. And you're doing it only, like what Kinzey said way in the beginning here, you're doing it because there's something inside of you you don't like. So find out what that thing is inside of you that you don't like, and then figure out a way to change it, transform it. Ask God's help. Ask him, come, Lord, I don't love this part of me. Show me why you love me, right? Show me why you love my wounds, my scars. Like, that's so freaking powerful, because I could tell you right now, like for Kinzey, God absolutely loves every single one of those hundreds of scars down her legs, because he was right there with her as it was happening. And he didn't see the scars, he saw the girl. He saw her heart, right? And that's what God sees in you. Whether you're a young man doing self-harm or you want to harm others, right? Let's talk about like school shootings and stuff. Like, this all stems back to, self-love. I think, Kinzey, you're spot on right there. Like, if someone's going to go and do harm to himself or to others, it's because they hate themselves. There's something going on in there. Go ahead.
And I read this very interesting article, just because you kind of brought up, harming others, about, I don't want to get on the gun debate, but just, I don't debate about that stuff, but I read the most fascinating article of how we could stop that. And it goes back to what I just said. Anybody who feels loved would not want to go hurt others in that way. Go be kind to the kid who doesn't have friends at school. Go befriend the person who feels left out and is the loner, because it's typically those people who don't feel loved, so they're angry that they're not included and not loved, that, if someone is loved, they would never want to go hurt people like that. So you have the power to go show somebody love and be the change in their life and show them, hey, come be my friend today. You don't be their BFF. Just ask them how their day was. Ask them how they're, how's school today? How's work going? Hey, want to come grab coffee? You don't have to be their best friend forever, but just that kind compliment, saying hi, acknowledging them, that goes such a long way.
I love it. So, BC Nation, if you're just joining us late here on the podcast, our guest today is Kinzey Ray, and she is top 10 female model of the year, top 10 female young adult actress of the year, Maxim Hometown Hotties Top 100, and Miss International Bikini Model. And she's just a regular girl, right? Yeah. She's a regular girl who used to not like what she saw, who used to not think she was beautiful. And it's really interesting, because I'm going to speak personally here, Kinzey. I have seen some of the You know, like the most beautiful girls, right? Physically attractive girls that we put on the covers of our magazines, right? Models and everything like that. So many of them looked awkward or, you know, unacceptably unattractive in their adolescence, right? Why?
Right.
Because they were going through the transformation, right, of becoming beautiful. And it's like we go through that ugly duckling stage and we hate ourselves during it, right? And like I was an ugly mofo when I was younger, right? I was not like an attractive guy. Like I was awkward and clumsy, and you know, I didn't show up well, right? But like, and now like people like, dude, you're like this really good looking guy, it must be easy for you or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't know what I went through too, right? So we all have go through these stages. And I would just say, if you're going through this awkward stage, you know, right now in your life, in your teenage years, just know that God has something beautiful planned. He sees the beauty within you. Soon the world's going to see the beauty on the exterior as well, right? But bring that beauty through. Like one thing I say so often is the most attractive feature on a woman or a man is their smile. Hands down, it's the most attractive feature. And when you smile, like your attractive meter goes up by like 30-40% just by smiling. So show what's on the inside. People will see it. So Kinzey, you can find Kinzey at kinzeyray.com. That's KINZ as in zebra, EYRAY.com, kinzeyray.com. Kinzey, we're about to enter the confession round. This is where I'm going to
Ooh,
ask you 12 quick fire questions. You have about 3 seconds to answer each. Don't overthink it. First thing that comes to you.
okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What's your favorite thing about being an adult?
Naps.
Naps. Power naps. What's your least favorite thing about being an adult?
Taxes.
Got it. When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? Was it a model or something else?
First, it was a teacher, then it was a doctor, then it was a model. But it's funny, I talked to my dad about this the other day. He said, you always said you wanted to be famous. That was just like your thing, that you wanted to be famous. So, any or all of the above.
Well, Kinzey, listen, you're on Broken Catholic podcast. You're now famous. Welcome. If you could be anyone for the next 7 days on planet Earth and trade places with them, who would you be and why?
Me. I'm so content with who I am. There's no one else I would want to be.
You know, I love it. For someone that used to, you know, self-harm, you're now in such a place of self-love, and that's just a beautiful thing. What do you wish you were better at?
Mm,
Any area, big or small.
I wish I was more flexible. That's one thing I'm working on in my gym class. Is I want to be more flexible, and it's just not there.
Got it. So physically flexible, not like personality or anything like that. Got it.
No.
What dream are you scared of pursuing?
Uh, I was scared of talking about this and pursuing this, but in the last 5 months, I've gotten a lot of courage, and it's still scary. I was still nervous to come on here, but every time I speak out about this and really talk about my story, it's so rewarding. The messages I get of people saying, "Wow, thank you. You've really helped me understand I'm not alone." And so it just shows you that what you're scared of most is probably what you need to be pursuing.
Love that. What secret fear do you have about God?
Mm, is he proud of me?
Mm, got that. What secret fear do you have about people?
Oh, about people that we can't change, like that we can't kind of recorrect the course that we're on. But deep down, I know we can. But some days you watch the documentaries or the dun 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 stuff that's going on in the world, and that fear comes up. Like, gosh, are we really that doomed? But deep down, I know, like, just be the change you want to see in the world. It takes one person, it takes you. You're in control of your actions and what you do. And I truly believe that's what creates the snowball effect. So anytime I get that fear, I'm like, nope, you go lead the way and others will follow.
Kinsey, that's exactly it. It's like literally you are proof. You are evidence that the world can change.
Yep.
like straight up. Okay. One person. If you had the power to remove any one form of suffering, I kind of know what your answer is here. What would it be from the world? What one form of suffering, if you could wake up tomorrow and snap your finger and it was gone, what would it be?
The self-hatred, the self, just love yourself. I don't know how to phrase that, and then what would I remove, but what I would give everybody is just the beauty to see everything that they are right now, the good, the bad, the ugly, the flaws, the scars. That's exactly who they are supposed to be. We're all trying so hard to change stuff about us when there's only one you. Like, exactly who you are is perfect. Quit trying to look like that other girl. Quit trying to be that other person. Be you, because there's only one. And that is like the most profound concept to me, that there's only one you, and you're designed as you are for a reason, because who you are is supposed to make a giant change in the world.
So, Kinzey,
It's
do you get like
crazy.
the impact of that out of all the humans in world history, all the humans that currently exist and all the humans that will ever exist, like literally God puts you right here, right now, this generation, to do what it is you're stepping into right now? Like,
I
how
do, and
much do you get that?
it's crazy. I actually had a very profound conversation with someone. I do kind of energy work and stuff, and she said, you went through that, because I feel like my situation is very unique, because I meet people still today who went through self-harm 10 years ago. They're still not okay with it. They still haven't accepted it and really like moved on, so they reach out to me. So I feel like what I went through in such an extreme and such a quick way, and then was able to heal, be okay, went on to like just my whole situation. I truly believe I had to go through that. And the lady I talked to, she said, you made contracts with people up in heaven that you were going to go through this so you could come and be their light, because they were going to go through that too. And I was like, that's a lot of responsibility. Like, whoa, like it just kind of made me think about it in a different way. But I truly believe that. And it can get a little overwhelming, but at the same time, it's like, this is why I'm here. Like, this is my
Mm.
purpose. And it's so cool to see the doors opening the more I pursue it.
I love it. BC Nation, when God puts a light inside of you, it is your obligation to shine for the world. Obligation. Kinzey, imagine sometime in the distant future, and there you are standing in front of your tombstone. Read to us what it says on it.
She was the light she needed when she was younger.
Love that. It's awesome. When you die, what is the first thing that you'd like to say to God or ask God when you walk through the pearly gates?
Where's my sister?
Aw, got that. Got it. Got it. And last question. If you could come back to life after you died and tell your family and friends only one piece of advice, what would you say to them?
Live life to its absolute fullest. You only get one. So go for everything you want. Quit waiting till tomorrow, because it goes fast.
Mm, amen. Very cool. Guys, we had our guest today is Kinzey Ray. You can find her at kinzeyray.com. She's like a superpower, awesome, amazing model. All the girls look up to her now and wish they could be like her, but they got it wrong, because they just need to be like themselves and open up their
Yes.
hearts and love themselves. And that's her message today. That's how she got to be who she was. She let God do the healing, right? She showed up with her brokenness and her wounds and said, God, do you love me with all of this? And God always says yes to that. Always. I love you because of this, right? That's the power there. So, Lindsay, thanks for joining us today. And I wish you the love, forgiveness, and transformation of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great. Thank you.
Awesome. BC Nation, we exceeded our 6-month goal. We now have listeners in over 31 countries. It's time to step up our game. That's where you come in. Go to brokencatholic.com and become a patron of the show. Chip in $1 a month to become my show partner. That's a really fancy title right there. Just saying. Or $5 a month to get exclusive patron-only rewards Lindsay, you should be a patron of my show too. I'm just
Okay.
putting that out there. Go to brokencatholic.com today. I am Joseph Warren, and you were made for greatness. So stop being a wuss and start being a winner. Have a blessed day, and I will see you right back here next week. God bless.
Cool. Gosh, I love
100%.
everything.
I don't think there was anything left out in that conversation.
No,
Like,
it was perfect. You taught like you touched on so many points I just like believe like so soundly to my core. So that was just so cool. I'm so thankful you reached out to me. That couldn't have, like I said, the more I talk about this, the more I get vulnerable. Like I second guess myself every time. And every time I'm just like, okay, the response I get, the people that reach out, like these doors have been opening faster than I can walk through them. And it's just that confirmation of this is like, go on, girl, keep walking. Like,
can I share something with you that I've learned that's helped me out a lot?
yeah.
That little voice inside your head is not always you. That little voice that says, stay small, don't shine, right? Second guess yourself. You just use the expression, sometimes I say to myself, or I second guess myself. It's actually not you. Create the distinction. The voice is not yours, right? That is literally the enemy trying to keep you from shining the light in the world that will bring people closer to God. Like, make that distinction for yourself, because then you're able to like recognize it immediately and go, no, I choose this.
Love
Without
that.
making yourself wrong, because it's not a you or you, it's the enemy, or this is what I choose. Do you get the distinction there?
Oh, absolutely. And I could totally see how that shows up because when you think it's your voice, you're like, oh, maybe you take it on as yourself. And that's where the internal like ping pong match goes on because you think it's
Exactly.
yourself
And you
and you
literally
don't
could
know
just put
which is
down,
right.
yeah, and you can literally in the moment now just put down the racket and not even play the game of ping pong. Like, just choose what you want.
Cool. I love that.
Look at
Thank
that.
you.
Look at that. Rock star. I have 3 bold requests for you, and then I got to run.
Okay.
First request is, as soon as we press stop here, can you shoot a quick video testimonial about your experience on Broken Catholic with Joseph Warren and what
Would
that
love
was like
to.
for you? Yeah. And feel free to speak about the topic as well, whatever. So like 60 seconds, up, no more than like 2 minutes, but just come from the heart.
Cool.
And people, this is why you need to listen, man. This guy speaks about the stuff that no one's speaking about, or something like that,
Yeah.
in
Love
your
it.
own words. And then who in your circle of influencers do you think would be a good guest on the show? And you opened me up to a new type of guest, and I just want to get real with you for a second, okay? Because I've been getting some higher level guests and everything on the show just because of their influence. However, I want to get more guests like you on the show. And I don't mean anything by that. I mean, you are literally at the cusp of going, like, opening up the wounds, right? I want people that are right there, that literally are going, this is where my powers comes from, and I want to embrace it, and I want to share those stories. I think that's where God's going to have the most impact.
Right.
Who shows up in your life?
Oh, let's
Normally
see.
like attracts like.
I just met a phenomenal group of people. Were you at the 10X thing? Is that how you got
I
into
was
Hank's
not.
stuff? No? Okay.
No.
Anyway, there was a lady, Forbes Riley, who was there. I just got back from her thing and there was a phenomenal group of people. And that's basically what we did in her little group was like, and they're all people like right on the cusp who are like understanding their story and how they can like help. So I could definitely connect you in that group of people. There's a few of them where I could connect you guys. Some of them have phenomenal stories as far as just going from just all different walks of life. So I could connect you with a few of them to see if
Would you
that
take
would.
that on?
Yeah,
And it could be
absolutely.
a simple email introduction, and just like copy like 3 or 4 people in and be like, hey, I was on Broken Catholic with Joseph Warren. I was able to tell my story. Here's why you need to, whatever, tell yours. And then I do the work from there, and I'll get them on
Yeah,
this.
they're all like I said, literally right on the cusp, like trying to find their little thing, but they all have such like powerful stories of being able to help people. And so, yeah,
Did you
absolutely.
did you see the other girl in the group, Hank's group, that also shared her video, Mallory Aveline?
Which one is she? Maybe not.
She's another attractive girl, and she's like crying on it, and she shared like like deep dark stuff that even her own mom didn't know, like she shared on the video. And she didn't just put it
Whoa.
in the group, she put it out to all her social media. And she was like, Mom, I
Cool.
know this is the first time you're hearing about this. I was a meth addict, I was a stripper, I was like, what? Right?
That's
And nobody
crazy.
would guess it, you know. So she's going to be on the show tomorrow, actually.
Cool.
Yeah, because I saw both your videos and I was like, these girls are freaking powerhouses. Like, I got to get them on. Let's go. So awesome. Anything I could do for you?
No, you did it. I think what you're doing is great. And I like the concept of not getting, people who are right on the cusp, because I feel like interviewing like really powerhouse people, it's phenomenal. They all have great stories and things, but sometimes I feel like it's easy to be like, oh yeah, but they don't really get it. They don't really so I think it kind of brings people back to the more relatability, like I will be a big name like that one day, but I'm not there yet. So maybe I'm still a little bit more
Because Kinzey's going to be
relatable.
famous. She's going to be
Yeah.
famous. No, I literally think you helped me just discover my ideal guest, and you're my ideal guest. Like,
Cool.
straight up, right? I've had a lot of great guests on the show, but I think where the stage that you're at right now, you're the ideal guest for where I want to take the show. So pretty awesome. Reach out to me for anything that I can do to help you share your story and get it out there, because it's an amazing, amazing topic. And I know God wants to set a lot of kids and young adults free from this. So ask me for anything, okay? And if I can, I will. Is that fair?
Well, thank you. Just this alone, that was phenomenal. So just thank you for the opportunity. I'm very excited to share this. Definitely let me know where I can find a link and share it. I have lots of people asking. So
Yeah, absolutely. I will get you the links and share it out with everybody. They're going to really want to hear your story the way we just shared it. And we both just kicked ass. Praise God. So great job. Great job. All right. Talk soon, and God bless you. And email me that video. All right.
Okay, I
All
will.
right. Thanks
Thanks
so
so much.
much.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.